Hello everyone, welcome back. This is Saurabh and we are reading Three Kingdoms, chapter 46, Battle of Red Cliff. So let's get started. Chapter 46. Using strategy, Chu Liang borrows arrows. Joining a ruse, Huang Kai accepts punishment. Lu Su departed on his mission and found Chu Liang seated in his little craft. There has been so much to do that I have not been able to come to listen to your instructions, said Lu Su. This is truly so, said Chu Liang, and I have not yet congratulated the commander-in-chief. What have you wished to congratulate him upon? Why, sir, the matter upon which he sent you to find out whether I knew about it or not. Indeed, I can congratulate him on that. Lu Su turned pale and gasped, saying, "But how did you know, master?" The ruse succeeded well, thus played off on Jiang Kan. Cao Cao has been taken in this once, but he will soon rise to it. Only he will not confess his mistake. However, the two men are gone and the Southland is freed from a grave anxiety. Do you not think that this is a matter for congratulation? I hear Mao Chie and Yu Chin are the new admirals, and in their hands lie both good and evil for the fate of the northern fleet. Lu Su was quite dumbfounded. He stayed a little time longer, passing the time in making empty remarks, and then took his leave. As he was going away, Chu Liang cautioned him, saying, "Do not let Chow Yu know that I know his ruse. If you let him know, he will seek some chance to do me harm." Lu Su promised. Nevertheless, he went straight to his chief and related the whole thing just as happened. "Really, he must be got rid of," said Chow Yu. "I have quite decided to put the man out of way." "If you slay him, will not Cao Cao laugh at you?" "Oh no, I will find a legitimate way of getting rid of him, so that he shall go to his death without resentment." "But how can you find a legitimate way of assassinating him?" "Do not ask too much. You will see presently." Soon after, all the officers were summoned to the main tent, and Chu Liang's presence was desired. He went contentedly enough. When all were seated, Chow Yu suddenly addressed Chu Liang, saying, "I am going to fight a battle with the enemy soon on the wet water. What weapons are the best?" "On a great river, arrows are the best," said Chu Liang. "Your opinion and mine agree, but at the moment we are short of them. I wish you would undertake to supply about 100,000 arrows for the naval fight. As it is for the public service, you will not decline, I hope." "Whatever task the commander-in-chief lays upon me, I must certainly try to perform," replied Chu Liang. "May I inquire by what date you require the 100,000 arrows?" "Could you have them ready in 10 days?" "The enemy will be here very soon. 10 days will be too late," said Chu Liang. "In how many days do you estimate the arrows can be ready?" "Let me have 3 days. Then you may send for your 100,000." No joking, remember, said Chow Yu. There is no joking in wartime. Dare I joke with the commander in chief? Give me a formal military order. If I have not completed the task in 3 days, I will take my punishment. Chow Yu, secretly delighted, sent for the secretaries and prepared the commission then and there. Then he drank to the success of undertaking and said, I shall have to congratulate you most heartily when this is accomplished. This day is too late to count, said Zhuge Liang. On the third from tomorrow morning, send 500 soldiers to the riverside to convey the arrows. They drank a few more cups together, and then Zhuge Liang took his leave. After he had gone, Lu Su said, Do you not think there is some deceit about this? Clearly, it is not I, it is he who has signed his own death warrant, said Chow Yu. Without being pressed in the least, he asked for a formal order in the face of the whole assembly. Even if he grew a pair of wings, he could not escape. Only I will just order the workers to delay him as much as they can and not supply him with materials, so that he is sure to fail. And then, when the certain penalty is incurred, who can criticize? You can go and inquire about it all and keep me informed. So off went Lu Su to seek Zhuge Liang, who at once reproached him with having blabbed about the former business. Zhuge Liang said, He wants to hurt me, as you know, and I did not think you could not keep my secret. And now there is what you saw today. And how do you think I can get 100,000 arrows made in 3 days? You will simply have to rescue me. You brought this misfortune on yourself, and how can I rescue you? Said Lu Su. I look to you for the loan of 20 vessels, manned each by 30 people. I want blue cotton screen and bundles of straw lashed to the side of boats. I have good news for them. On the third day, I shall undertake to deliver the fixed number of arrows. But on no account must you let Chow Yu know, or my scheme will be wrecked. Lu Su consented, and this time he kept his word. He went to report to his chief as usual, but he said nothing about the boats. He only said, Zhuge Liang is not using bamboo or feathers or glue or varnish, but has some other way of getting arrows. Let us await the 3 days limit, said Chow Yu, puzzled though confident. On his side, Lu Su quietly prepared a score of light, swift boats, each with its crew and the blue screens and bundles of grass, complete, and when these were ready, he placed them at Zhuge Liang's disposal. Zhuge Liang did nothing on the first day, nor on the second. On the third day, at the middle of the fourth watch, Zhuge Liang sent a private message asking Lu Su to come to his boat. Why have you sent for me, sir? Asked Lu Su. I want you to go with me to get those arrows. Whither are you going? Do not ask, you will see. Then the 20 boats were fastened together by long ropes and moved over to the north bank. The night proved very foggy and the mist was very dense along the river, so that one person could scarcely see another. In spite of the fog, Chu Liang urged the boats forward as if into the vast fairy kingdom. The little fleet reached Cao Cao's naval camp about the fifth watch, and Chu Liang gave orders to form line, lying prows west, and then to beat the drums and shout. "But what shall we do if they attack us?" exclaimed Lu Su. Chu Liang replied with a smile, "I think their fleet will not venture out in this fog. Go on with your wine and let us be happy. We will go back when the fog lifts." As soon as the shouting from the river was heard by those in the camp, the two admirals, Mao Chie and Yu Qin, ran off to report to Cao Cao, who said, "Coming up in a fog like this means that they have prepared an ambush for us. Do not go out, but get all the force together and shoot at them." He also sent orders to the ground camps to dispatch 6,000 of archers and crossbowmen to aid the marines. The naval forces were then lined up shooting on the bank to prevent a landing. Presently, the soldiers arrived, and 10,000 and more soldiers were shooting down into the river, where the arrows fell like rain. By and by, Chu Liang ordered the boats to turn round so that their prows pointed east and to go closer in, so that many arrows might hit them. Chu Liang ordered the drums to be kept beating till the sun was high and the fog began to disperse. When the boats got underway and sailed downstream, the whole 20 boats were bristling with arrows on both sides. As they left, Chu Liang asked all the crews to shout derisively, "We thank you, Sir Prime Minister, for the arrows." They told Cao Cao, but by the time he came, the light boats, helped by the swift current, were 7 miles long down the river, and pursuit was impossible. Cao Cao saw that he had been duped and was very sorry, but there was no help for it. On the way down, Chu Liang said to his companion, "Every boat must have 5 or 6,000 arrows, and so, without the expenditure of an ounce of energy, we must have more than 10 myriad arrows, which tomorrow can be shot back again, at Cao Cao's army to his great inconvenience." "You are really superhuman," said Lu Su, "but how did you know there would be a thick fog today?" "One cannot be a leader without knowing the workings of heaven and the ways of earth. One must understand the secret gates and the interdependence of the elements, the mysteries of tactics and the value of forces. It is but an ordinary talent. I calculated 3 days ago that there would be a fog today, and so I set the limit at 3 days. Chao Yu would give me 10 days, but neither artificers nor materials, so that he might find occasion to put me to death as I knew. But my fate lies with the Supreme, and how could Chao Yu harm me?" Lu Su could not but agree. When the boats arrived, 500 soldiers were in readiness on the bank to carry away the arrows. Chu Liang bade them go on board the boats, collect them, and bear them to the tents of Commander-in-Chief. Lu Su went to report that the arrows have been obtained and told Chao Yu by what means. Chao Yu was amazed and sighed sadly, saying, "He is better than I. His methods are more than human." Thick lies the fog on the river. Nature is shrouded in white. Distant and near are confounded. Banks are no longer in sight. Fast fly the pattering arrows. Stick in the boats of fleet. Now can full tale be delivered. Chu Kalyang is victor complete. When shortly after his return Chu Kalyang went to the tent of Commander-in-Chief, he was welcomed by Chao Yu, who came forward to greet him saying, "Your superhuman predictions compel one's esteem." "There is nothing remarkable in that trifling trick," he replied. Chao Yu led him within, and wine was bought. Then Chao Yu said, "My lord sent yesterday to urge me to advance, but I have no master plan ready. I wish you would assist me, master." "But where should I, a man of poor everyday ability, find such a plan as you desire?" "I saw the enemy's naval camp just lately, and it looked very complete and well organized. It is not an ordinary place to attack. I have thought of a plan, but I am not sure it will answer." "I should be happy if you would decide for me." "General," replied Chu Kalyang, "do not say what your plan is, but each of us will write in the palm of his hand and see whether our opinions agree." So brush and ink were sent for, and Chao Yu first wrote on his own palm, and then passed the pen to Chu Kalyang, who also wrote. Then, getting close together on the same bench, each showed his hand to the other, and both burst out laughing, for both had written the same word, fire. "Since we are of the same opinion," said Chao Yu, "there is no longer any doubt, but our intentions must be kept secret. Both of us are public servants, and what would be the sense of telling our plans? I do not think Cao Cao will be on his guard against this. Although he has had 2 experiences, you may put your scheme into force." They finished their wine and separated. Not an officer knew a word of their plans. Now Cao Cao has expended a myriad arrows in vain and was much irritated in consequence. He deeply desired revenge. Then Shun Yu proposed a ruse, saying, "The 2 strategists on the side of the enemy are Chao Yu and Chu Kalyang, 2 men most difficult to get the better of. Let us send someone who shall pretend to surrender to them, but really be a spy on our behalf and a helper in our scheme. When we know what is doing, we can plan to meet it." "I had thought of that myself," replied Cao Cao. "Whom do you think the best person to send?" "Sai Mao has been put to death, but all his clan and family are in the army, and his 2 younger brothers are junior generals. You have them most securely in your power, and may send them to surrender. The ruler of the Southland will never suspect their deceit." Cao Cao decided to act on this plan, and in the evening summoned Sai Chong and Sai He to his tent, where he told them, saying, "I want you to pretend to surrender to the Southland so that you can gather intelligence and send it back. When all done, you will be richly rewarded, but do not betray me." "Our families are in Jingzhou, and that place is yours," replied they. "Should we dare betray, you need have no doubt, sir, you will soon see the heads of both Chao Yu and Chu Kalyang at your feet." Cao Cao gave them generous gifts. Soon after, the 2 men, each with his 500 soldiers, set sail with a fair wind for the opposite bank. Now, as Zhao Yu was preparing for the attack, the arrival of some northern ships was announced. They bore the two younger brothers of Sai Mao who has came as deserters. They were let in and by bowing before the general said, weeping, "Our innocent brother has been put to death and we desire vengeance. So we have come to offer alliance to you. We pray you appoint us to the vanguard." Cao Yu appeared very pleased and made them presents. Then he ordered them to join Kan Ning in leading the van. They thanked him and regarded their scheme as already a success. But Cao Yu gave Kan Ning secret orders saying, "They have come without their families and so I know their desertion is only pretense. They have been sent as spies and I am going to meet their ruse with one of my own. They shall have some information to send. You will treat them well but keep a careful guard over them. On the day our soldiers start the offense, they shall be sacrificed to the flag. But be very careful that nothing goes wrong." Kan Ning went away. Then Lu Su came to tell Cao Yu, saying, "Everyone agrees in thinking the surrender of Sai Chong and Sai He feigned and they should be rejected. But they wish to revenge the death of their brother," said the fleet admiral. "Where is the pretense? If you are so suspicious, you will receive nobody at all." Lu Su left much piqued and went to see Chu Liang, to whom he told the story. Chu Liang only smiled. "Why do you smile?" said Lu Su. "I smile at your simplicity. The general is playing a game. Spies cannot easily come and go. So these two have been sent to feign desertion that they may act as spies. The general is meeting one ruse with another. He wants them to give false information. Deceit is not to be despised in war, and his scheme is the correct one to employ." Then Lu Su understood. That night, as Cao Yu was sitting in his tent, Huang Kai came to see him privately. Cao Yu said, "You have surely some wise plan to propose that you came at night like this." Huang Kai replied, "The enemy are more numerous than we and it is wrong to delay. Why not burn them out?" "Who suggested that to you?" "I thought of it myself. Nobody suggested it," replied Huang Kai. "I just wanted something like this, and that is why I kept those two pretending deserters. I want them to give some false news. The pity is that I have no one to feign desertion to the other side and work my plan." "But I will carry out your plan," said Huang Kai. "But if you cannot show some injury, you will not be believed," said Cao Yu. "The Sun family have been very generous to me, and I would not resent being crushed to death to repay them," said Huang Kai. Cao Yu bowed and thanked him, saying, "If you would not object to some bodily sufferings, then the Southland would indeed be happy." "Kill me, I do not mind," replied Huang Kai as he took his leave. Next day, the drums called all the officers together to the commander-in-chief's tent, and Chu Liang came with others. Cao Yu said, "The enemy's camp extend about 100 miles so that the campaign will be a long one. Each leader is to prepare supplies for 3 months. Scarcely had he spoken when Huang Kai started up crying, "Say not 3 months, be ready for 30 months, and even then it will not be ended. If you can destroy them this month, then all is well. If you cannot, then it were better to take Chang Chao's advice. Throw down your weapon, turn to the north, and surrender. Cao Yu's anger flared up and he flushed, crying, "Our Lord's order were to destroy Cao Cao, and whoever mentioned the word surrender should be put to death. Now, the very moment when the two armies are to engage, you dare talk of surrender and damp the ardor of my army. If I do not slay you, how can I support the others?" He ordered the lictors to remove Huang Kai and execute him without delay. Huang Kai then flamed up in turn, saying, "This is the third generation since I went with General Sun Quan, and we overran the southeast. Whence have you sprung up?" This made Cao Yu perfectly furious, and Huang Kai was ordered to instant death. But cunning interfered. Said he is a veteran officer of the Southland. Pray pardon him." "What are you prating about?" cried Cao Yu. "Dare you come between me and my duty?" Turning to the lictors, Cao Yu ordered them to drive Cunning forth with blows. The other officials fell on their knees, entreating pity for Huang Kai. "He is indeed most worthy of death, but it would be a loss to the army. We pray you forgive him, record his fault for the moment, and after the enemy shall have been defeated, then put him to death." But Cao Yu was implacable. The officers pleaded with tears. At length he seemed moved, saying, "Had you not interceded, he should certainly have suffered death. But now I will mitigate the punishment to a beating. He shall not die." Cao Yu turned to the lictors and bade them deal the culprit 100 blows. Again his colleagues prayed for remission. But Cao Yu angrily pushed over the table in front of him and roared to the officers to get out of the way and let the sentence be executed. So Huang Kai was stripped, thrown to the ground, and 50 blows were given. At this point, the officers again prayed that he left off. Cao Yu sprang from his chair and pointed his finger at Huang Kai and said, "If you dare flout me again, you shall have the other 50. If you are guilty of any disrespect, you shall be punished for both faults." With this, he turned into the inner part of the tent, growling as he went, while the officers helped their beaten colleague to his feet. He was in a deplorable state. His back was cut in many places and the blood was flowing in streams. They led him to his own quarters, and on the way he swooned several times. His case seemed most pitiable. Lu Su went to see the suffering officer and then called on Zhuge Liang in his boat. Lu Su related the story of the beating and said, "Though the other officers have been cowed into silence, I think, though, you, sir, might have interceded. You are a guest and not under Cao Yu's order. Why did you stand by with your hands up your sleeve and say never a word?" "You insult me," said Zhuge Liang, smiling. "Why do you say that? I have never insulted you, never since the day we came here together. Do you not know that terrible beating was but a ruse? How could I try to dissuade Cao Yu?" Then Lu Su began to perceive, and Zhuge Liang continued, "Cao Cao would not be taken in unless there was some real bodily suffering. Cao Yu is going to send Huang Kai over as a deserter, and Cao Yu will see to it that the two Cao Cao spies duly tell the tale. But when you see the general, you must not tell him that I saw through the ruse. You say that I am very angry like the others." Lu Su went to see Cao Yu and asked, "Why have you so cruelly beaten approved and trusty officers?" "Do the officers resent it?" asked Cao Yu. "They are all upset about it." "And what does your friend think?" "Chu Liang also resents it in his heart, and he thinks you have made a mistake." "Then I have deceived him for once," said Cao Yu gleefully. "What do you mean?" cried Lu Su. "That beating that Huang Kai got is part of my ruse. I am sending him to Cao Cao as a deserter, and so I have supplied a reason for desertion. Then I am going to use fire against the enemy." Lu Su kept silence, but he recognized that Chu Liang was again right. Meanwhile, Huang Kai lay in his tent, whither all his colleague officers went to condole with him and inquire about his health. But Huang Kai would say never a word. He only lay sighing deeply from time to time. But when the strategist Yangtze came, Huang Kai told them to bring him to the room where he lay. Then he bade the servants go away. Kanze said, "Surely you must have some serious quarrel with the general." "I have none," said Huang Kai. "Then this beating is just part of a ruse?" "How did you guess?" said Huang Kai. "Because I watched the general and I guessed about 9/10 of the truth." Huang Kai said, "You see, I have been very generously treated by the Sun family, all three of them, and have no means of showing my gratitude except by offering to help in this ruse. True, I suffer, but I do not regret that. Among all those I know in the army, there is not one I am intimate with except yourself. You are true, and I can talk with you as a friend. I suppose you wish me to present your surrender letter to Cao Cao, is that it?" "Just that. Will you do it?" said Huang Kai. Kanze consented joyfully. Even the warrior's body is but a stake in the game. The friend so ready to help him proves that their hearts are the same. Kanze's reply will be read in the next chapter.